Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we're doing the What's Next on undefeated junior welterweight contender Arnold Barboza Jr. following a kind of a lackluster decision victory in a close one in a fight that some people thought his opponent could have won. On the April 27th, the April 20th DAZN pay-per-view undercard of Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Now, before we get into that, you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, this fight was, like I said, Barboza kind of making his name with Golden Boy, trying to keep himself busy ahead of a proposed WBO title shot that for some reason doesn't seem to be happening, and I can't understand why. So now the big question is, what's next for Barboza after this kind of lackluster performance? Let's run through the top 10 at 140 and see what could be possible. We start with Devin Haney, the undefeated WBC champion. I mean, it's an easy fight to make if Devin Haney wanted it, because Devin's, with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn and, what's his name's with Golden Boy, Barboza. So DAZN would definitely pick up the fight, but I just don't think Devin Haney has any interest in fighting Arnold Barboza. There's just no interest there. Barboza is not a big name, and he just didn't do much. I mean, but if Devin wanted to get an undefeated challenger on his resume in his next fight, especially following the performance against Ryan Garcia, then maybe it could be possible, but I'm leaning towards the less likely. Then there's the obvious undefeated, the obvious fight with Teofimo Lopez, the WBO champion. He is the mandatory challenger for Teofimo Lopez. I don't know why the WBO hasn't ordered him into an eliminator, a final eliminator, or ordered this fight. I think Teo should just push for this fight because, one, Barboza hasn't looked great. He's an undefeated challenger, and he doesn't have a lot of power, and he comes right at Lopez. Lopez needs to turn in a really good performance in order to start getting maybe the nods from Saudi Arabia. I think Lopez wants that Saudi Arabia money, which I can't blame him. I mean, shit, I think any guy with any kind of a name in boxing right now wants it, because Saudi Arabia is working with all the three fucking major networks and governing, and promoters. They're working with Golden Boy, Matchroom, the PBC, and with Top Rank, and the money is good. So a lot of people want to see, those big kind of fights. So I think Lopez, it would be beneficial for him to sign up for his mandatory and get it out of the way, because next would be a bigger money fight for to unify belts, and then Barboza gets his opportunity. So I'm really hoping that that's what we see. Next is Barboza and Lopez, because I think it'd be good for both of them. Barboza would get a chance to prove how good he is really. So we'll see. Hopefully that's the case for him coming up next. But like I said, it's up in the air. Then you got Josh Taylor, the former undisputed champion. Taylor's fighting Catterall, and I just don't. And if Taylor beats Jack Catterall in their rematch, I don't think he's going to be interested in a fight with a guy like Barboza, because Barboza is not a big name and he doesn't bring a world title to the table. So I think Taylor's only going to go after a world champion or a big name opponent. That's what I see happening for Taylor. Then there's Jack Catterall. It's an easy fight to make, but I don't think Barboza would be interested in it. If Catterall beats Josh Taylor, yeah, his stock's gonna go up, Catterall's, but does Barboza really want to fight a guy like, with the style of Catterall, who's like a pure boxer, doesn't really engage too much, he's built to kind of make you look bad? I don't think he'd sign up for that. Then there's former unified champ Jose Ramirez. Now, I think if Ryan Garcia doesn't return against Jose Ramirez in the second half of the year, I think Oscar should make a showdown between Ramirez and Barbosa if Barbosa doesn't get the title shot with Teofimo Lopez. I think that would make the most sense. I think Oscar should do that, you know, because he has both fighters. It's a good showdown right there. Maybe he's trying to get Barbosa to go after the world title first with Lopez, which I understand. But if that fight cannot be made and Ryan doesn't have an interest in fighting Jose Ramirez next, then I think he should push for a fight with you know, Barbosa and Ramirez, have them go at it in a final eliminator type deal. Then there's Sandor Martin, another fight that could probably be easily made, and it'd be a battle between two number one fighters. But I really believe one or both of these guys is going to get a title shot next. I think Martin could be in line for Devin Haney next, and I think Barbosa could be in line for Lopez. Would they fight each other? I think it's a bad style matchup for Barbosa, so I just don't think they would fight each other right now when there's no world titles on the line. I think it would be a bad move for Barbosa. Regis Prograis, a good matchup right here. I think it's a fight that Barbosa, if he doesn't get Ramirez next, why not take on Regis Prograis? He's a former world champion. You can make some bones against him, and you could put yourself in line finally. If you get through Prograis, you could really put your name in the mix then for sure with Devin Haney and Lopez. They can't overlook him. So, you know, I think that'd be a good matchup. I'm not sure Prograis would want the fight, and I'm not sure Eddie Hearn and Matchroom want the fight, but it's an easy fight to make, and I think it's a fight that makes sense if both these guys can't get a big desired fight, you know, next that they want more. Then there's IBF champion Subriel Matias, another fight that probably would be easily made if Matias didn't have a mandatory obligation next. Now, I think the only fight after Liam Paro for Matias, outside of a mandatory defense against Richardson Hitchens, would be a unification bout, and Barbosa doesn't have a world title, so I don't see this one being possible next. Then there's Gary Antoine Russell, that PBC would have to work with Top Rank. It's not a desired fight really, so I don't see this one coming down. And then some of the other guys, you know, that are kind of on the bubble for 140. Richardson Hitchens is a mandatory challenger in the IBF. I don't see that one. Kenneth Sims with Top Rank, still got to make more bones. It's not really a fight that is too intriguing for Barbosa, especially if Golden Boy has to work with Top Rank. Ishmael Barroso is the mandatory challenger in the WBA. I mean, I would love to see this matchup right here, but I'm not sure either guy would want to risk their mandatory shot. At least Barbosa, I don't think would, on a power punching 40-year-old man. So I don't see that one. Rolly Romero's fallen off the radar after losing to Isaac Cruz. And then you got Isaac Cruz, the WBA champion. I mean, Cruz is in a big fight with Jose Valenzuela. I think he's pushing for a possible tank fight or maybe even a bigger fight following that fight with Valenzuela if he gets through it. So as of right now, I don't see Barbosa and Cruz being a possibility. So in terms of a world title, I think Barbosa and Teofimo Lopez definitely could happen. That could be Barbosa's next fight, in my opinion. But the WBO would have to order it, or Lopez would have to step up to the plate and say, I want to fight my mandatory. One of those two options. If neither of those happen, it's going to be tough for Barbosa to land that big fight. So we'll see what happens. I do think, you know, there's definitely options. Jose Ramirez would be a good fight because that's an all Golden Boy clash. I think Barbosa needs to step the competition up in his next fight, even if he fights maybe O'Hara Davies. You know, O'Hara Davies had a tough, you know, he got caught against Ishmael Barroso, but he's with Golden Boy. He just signed with Golden Boy at the beginning of the year or late last year. So I think Davies might just say, hey, fuck it, I want to throw my name back in the mix. I'll fight Barbosa. But I think at the very minimum, that needs to be the type of opponent that he fights right there. I don't think he needs to take a step back anymore, because look what almost happened. He almost lost, and that loss would have fucked up his mandatory shot. So I think Barbosa needs to get his head on straight, try to force the WBO to get him the title shot, or ask Oscar for the Jose Ramirez fight, or ask Oscar, hey, give me Ohara Davies then. I'll fight Davies. One of those two, but we'll see what happens. That's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on undefeated junior welterweight contender Arnold Barboza Jr. after a controversial decision victory on the Haney Garcia undercard. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.